Bonjour.
นี่ที่น้องมินปะไม่ใช่น้องมินคนเขาไม่มีเขาฟ้าออกไข่ดาวไข่ไม่เก็บที่เด็กไม่ที่มันต้องหน่อยก็เป็นน้องมินที่ไม่ตั้งใจเอามาคืนมินเลยเรียนน้องเรียนนะลงแล้วแต่ว่านี่มันก็สวยใช่แต่แบบว่าถ้าเราส่งไปแล้วมันก็เหมือนแล้วเมย์ก็ท่าสวย
So this is the key feature for me. Hello. Okay. Good evening, everyone. So, welcome to Electron Model class once again. So today we will start the new chapter. I will show you that the topic for today. Firstly, for the first part is about utilities. The game theory. Okay. And after that, for the second part, it's going to be like the Markov processes. So let's see the first one, utility and game theory. Okay. So previous chapter we talk about the decision analysis, right? The way that we define the decision tree, you know about the decision making under certainty, uncertainty, and under risk. Okay. The extension of decision analysis is about that we can have another method, right, to analyze, right, and make the decision, right. In some cases that maybe the money or the value of money is not the most important thing, or sometimes, right, the value in each alternative is quite too much different. So maybe just make the decision based on the money, maybe it's not that good enough. Okay. So for today, the first thing that we will connect as an extension from the decision analysis is about the utilities. Okay. So firstly, I would like to bring this example to show you. We have the so-called, right? The companies, right? The company has three real estate investment alternative, right? This company has, three alternatives, right? Investment, make investments A, make investment B, and not invest at all. They also have the state nature or the outcome, right? The outcome of the problem in this case is about the real estate price. So it's including about it going up, remaining the same, and going down. So I would like to use each outcome to be S1, S2, and S3, right? The same as we studied before. So the value in the table is about the payoff that we can expect. For example, if this company make an investment in the real estate A, they can expect 30,000 in the case that the price of real estate is going up. There may be lost 50,000 in the case that the price of real estate is going down, something like that. Suppose that we have known about the probabilities for each outcome, right? So the price of real estate going up is 0.3, remain the same 0.5, and going down is just 0.2. So based on our knowledge from decision analysis in this case is we come to the decision making under risk, right? We have alternatives, we have different outcomes, and also we know about the probability for each outcome. So if we develop, right, in this case, EV is EMV the same. If we develop using the EMV or EV, right, using the expected value, right, so you can see that we just use the probabilities multiply with the payoff, right, under each outcome, and then we sum up together, altogether. Altogether. So, and what happened here, you can see, based on the EMV or the expected value, the alternative investment in real estate A or the first one, you can expect the highest payoff in this case is $9,000. The second alternative that we invest in the real estate B, we can expect the loss $1,000. And for the third alternative is stay the same, right? No loss, no profit. So based on this calculation, if we using the knowledge from last week, we probably select the first alternative, right? Because it provides the highest expected payoff. But as I mentioned, that sometimes using just the expected value or the money maybe is not good enough for making the decision. Why? Let's say that if we look back to the financial situation of this company, so maybe the current financial position is just weak, so the company maybe lost a lot, right? Sometimes we can think that the CEO or the president of the company, right, believe that investment, right, in the real estate maybe make the company in the future face about the jeopardy. So there are a lot of debt, the branches about to get the background, thing like that. So the president or the CEO, actually, they might select the second or the third alternative in order to avoid, right, the first one, in the case that the price is going down. Because if the price of the real estate is going down, the first alternative, you lost 50,000. It's quite a lot. So in this case, right, you can see that it doesn't mean that based on your feelings, right, based on your instinct, using the expected value is the good method, right, to analyze the alternative. And also, the reasonable make a conclusion for them is that they might think about select the third option, because do not invest at all, it make them stay the same, no loss at all. So if the real estate price is going down as a outcome S3 happen, so you might see that the third alternative is the best one, because we're getting zero. But the rest of the two alternatives, you lost 50,000 and 30,000. So in this case, you can see when we calculate using expected value or EV or EV as whatever, it shows that the first alternative is the best one. But based on something like the fundamentals analysis of the background of the company right now, current situation, and also the management feelings, right, or the management preference, maybe it's not the same answer. Because if you were the president or the CEO of the company, let's think that right now the current situation of the company is not good. But if you apply this method, you need to select the first alternative that you need to invest in real estate A. And if you get the bad luck, right, the price going down, you lost 50,000. So it's quite risky. So in this case, we're gonna use another method, another value to measure and analyze, right, not just using the money. So that one we call the utilities. Because the utility is just the one that we can use as a decision criteria right? That's based on the the things that suitable for the user, not just the money, right? Because don't forget that for each user, you have the different perspective of the risky. You might be the risk averse, so the person that very conservative and try to avoid risk, and you might be the one that be the risk seeker or risk lover, so you prefer a lot of payoff. You don't care about the risk. So you can see that based on this, right, two differences of the user who gonna use or apply the decision criteria, the method that the alternative that you're gonna select may be different. So the utility is the one that try to not using the money, but is try to measure, right, the money based on your preference, based on your characteristics that you be like a risk averse or risk lover person. So it shows about the attitude toward the risk, toward the value of the money for each person. So it's useful when you apply in the case of making decision about the profit, loss, risk, right? And you have the payoff that very extremely high or extremely low difference, right? So money is not the one that we can use as a criteria to make a decision. Sometimes it leads to the bad decision. It's not, reflect to yourself. Right? And we're gonna drop utility function, and it's just very easy that utility function is tell about attitude of you toward the risk, as I mentioned. So we try to develop utility function and translate the value of the money to be the range between 0 to 1. But sometimes you can use 0 to 10, it's okay, or 0 to 100, that's okay, it depends on you. Okay, so based on your scale. So in my slide, I have the example of 0 to 1 or 0 to 10. Okay, it's your scale you can develop by your own, right? So let's say that 0 to 1 or 0 to 10 is now 4 for us, right? So normally we assign 0 to the worst payoff, and the highest one we using 1 or 10 is based on your scale that you prefer. And what next? The utility function gonna show the utility gonna help you to evaluate and estimate the utility value for each value of money for each person. So it means that each person have their own utility function. So this utility function is difference between each other, is based on your preference to and the attitude to the risk, and also it can change over time as well. So the time that you were, let's say, 20 years old, and the time that you were, let's say, 40 years old, maybe you have differences utility function because you have more experience, you have more factor involved into your life, so maybe different. But anyway, just want you to know that everyone or every person you have the different utility function, and utility function is something that measure the payoff to be the value range between 0 to 1 or 0 to 10, and is using the concept that when you translate the value of the money or the payoff to that utility value is towards about your preference on risk or the tolerance that you have to the risk for each person. So let's talk about the concept. Let's say that we're gonna play the game, right? And we have a coin, and if I flip a coin and if it get head or tail, right? You know that. So the chance that it's gonna get head or tail, we know that 50-50, right? So let's say that if you want to play a game with me, I flip the coin, and I ask you to guess that it show head or tail, right? If I open my hand and it show the coin that show that on the top is head, you get nothing. But if it show tail, you get $5 million. So what you want to play with me? Maybe, because nothing to lose, right? So just try. Why not, right? Because If we get luck, we can get $5 million. If we get the bad luck, just so, right? We just get zero as we have before we play the game. But what happened is someone come to this room and said, okay, I give you right now $2 million and don't to play the game. Will you accept this offer or not? Yes? So why you accept it? Because you might think that, okay, 2 million is, is much enough for you, right? So if we are not paying, we don't care, we just get 2 million. It's okay for 2 million, enough, right? But maybe another one that thinks that, okay, if you accept the offer, you're getting 2 million. But if you play, you can have a chance 50-50 to get 5 million. But maybe you have some of your friends thinks that you're gonna pay. But you guys think that you will not pay, right? And I look around this room and I see that majority of you will not pay. You prefer $2 million, right? Let's say that if we use the concept of digital analysis that we studied so far, we have the payoff 0 and 5 million, right? The property is 50-50. So if you calculate the EMV at that outcome node, at this node, what happened? You're using 0 multiplied with 0.5 plus 5 million multiplied with 0.5, right? The result is 2.5 million. And when you move to the digital node, you need to select the way that you need to reject the offer $2 million. You need to pay the game. But it's not the same as you're feeling, because you feel that 2 million for you is enough. I don't want to pay. But when we are using the concept of digital analysis that we have studied so far, it's still that you need to pay, right? So in this case, you can see it's just why if you're using the calculation based on only the money, maybe it's not good in some situation, right? So in this case, for the utility theory, we just try to translate, right, the value of the money into the value of utilities. And as I mentioned, you can use the utility value from 0 to 1 or 0 to 10, is up to you, based on your preference of the scale. But we always assign the worst outcome equal to the utility of 0. And the best outcome to be 1 or 10, right, up to you. And we use the concept of standard gamble, right, to determine the value of utilities. So we can find it when you feel that it's difference between these two alternatives. For example, in this case, this is a standard gamble things that I mentioned, right? We have two alternatives, right? Also, sorry about the color. Two alternatives, okay? This alternative you can have two possible outcomes. This is show you about the best outcome. This is the worst outcome, right? And another alternative, right? So if we let the property of the best outcome to be P, so it means that 1 minus P will be the property of the worst outcome, right? So the way that you're gonna translate your value money to be the utility value, we use this concept because we try to find a way that, okay, what would be, right, the value of this alternative that make you feel indifferent between these two alternatives. For example, if I refer to this example, it's just so very simple to explain that. So what would be this value that you feel that is different between play and not play? Maybe you can think sometimes maybe 500,000. 500,000, maybe you can feel that, okay, it's indifferent between these two. But you can maybe think $1 million, right? So it depends on you. But we try to find the value of this that can make you feel that these two alternatives is indifferent. And based on this, we're gonna compare and we can find the utility value. For example, if I have this one, we have Jane, right? Jane was considering about the 3 years real estate investment. So 80% chance that the real estate market, right, will not good, and 20% is good. And if it's good, you can get paid 10,000. It's bad for the market, you can get 0. So of course, this person or Jane, she can leave the money in the bank and earn without the return, right? By not using that money to make an investment. So what should she do? So if we show here, as I mentioned, she has 2 alternatives. The first alternative is invest in real estate. 80% if it is good, getting $10,000. 20% if it is bad, get nothing. But another alternative is not make investment but leave the money in the bank, right? And she can earn 5,000. If Jane feel that invest in real estate and leave the money in bank and get 5,000 is indifferent for her, feel the same. So what happened? What does it mean? It means that these two is indifferent, right? So if you calculate, right, this case, if you calculate, right, by assign the best payoff 10,000 to be, let's say using 1. 10,000 is best payoff to be 1, utility value equal to 1. The worst payoff is 0, right? I let it to be 0. And I try to find the value of utility value of this money, 5,000. What do we have here? I'm going to have utility of this value equal to 0.8 multiplied with 1 plus 0.2 multiplied with 0. So what I have? I have 0.8, right? So it means that 5,000 based on the utility function of Jane. In this case, 5,000 equal to 0.8 utility value. Yeah, you know what I mean? She has 2 options, right? If I said if Jane feel that leave the money in the bank and get 5,000, make she feel indifferent between these 2 alternatives. So then I try to make the calculation of 5,000, right? To find what value of utility value to be equal to the 5,000 money value. So I let 10,000 to be 1, 0 to be 0. So then I just calculate the expected utility value, let's say 1 multiplied 0.8 plus 0 multiplied 0.2. We have 0.8, right? So it means this utility expected value for this alternative equal to 0.8, which means $5,000 that she can earn from leaving the money in the bank is worth 0.8 of the utility value for her. But for you, for me, I think that okay, if I leave the money in the bank and get 5,000, maybe it's not enough for me. I still feel that I make investment, I can have a chance. 80% getting 10,000, maybe I prefer this alternative. I'm not feel indifferent, but it can make me feel indifferent in the case that if I leave the money in the bank and I can get not 5,000, I can get 8,000. Okay, so it means that using the same calculation, 8,000 for me is equal to 0.8 utility. But for Jane, just 5,000 equal to 0.8 utility. But for me, 8,000. So it means if everyone you have the preference, right, based on your attitude toward to the risk. So what I'm saying, yeah.
But for this one, if you doesn't set the 10,000 to be utility number to be equal to 1.
Yes.
That means, for example, you said it's equal to 2. So the investment in that utility have to change.
Yes. I mean, this is not change, right? I'm change just the value of return. What I'm saying, for Jane, let's say Jane. For Jane, if she can get 5,000 by leaving the money in the bank, she might feel indifferent between these 2 alternatives. Right? So based on the calculation, using the utility value 0 and 1 multiplied with probability and let it equal to this one, 5,000. I mean the value of the money 5,000 for Jane is equal to 0.8 utility value for Jane. But for me, 5,000 I said is not enough for me. If I leave the money in the bank and get 5,000, I feel that is not much for me. I still prefer to select this alternative because I think I have a chance 80% of getting 10,000. But if you want to ask me that how can I feel indifferent between these two alternatives, I may say that if the bank can give me the return when I leave the money in the bank to be 8,000, I feel that okay, these two are indifferent. Okay, so in that case, what it means if I using the same concept, 10,000 equal to 1, 0 equal to 2, so to 0. I calculate expected utility value. I using 1 multiplied by 0.8 plus 0 multiplied by 0.2, you get 0.8, right? So 0.8 equal to the utility value for the money for 8,000 for me. Right? You can see the difference me, myself and Jane. But for Jane, maybe Jane is risk averse, right? She thinks that 5,000 is equal to 0.8 for the utility value, but for me, 5,000 probably should less than 0.8. 0.8 of me is 8,000. So in this case, let's say if Jane thinks that 5,000 about this is okay for her. So it means 5,000 is equal to 0.8, right? We know that 0 is, let's say 1 or something, and 10 is 0. 0 is 0 and 1 is 10,000. So we can develop like a graph, something like that. This is called utility function. Everyone we have different this graph, right? Because based on the value that you feel different may be different, right? Everyone feel different, right? So what I mean is that the graph of the utility for everyone, you can have 3 types. The first one, if you look at the risk indifferent here, or we can sometimes we call this neutral. This one is like a linear relationship. This is what probably the same as the way that we make the decision based on the money, right? High risk, high return, and for this avoider, it's gonna have the graph something like this. But risk seeker or risk lover, you can have the graph something like this. So with the same value of money, you can see, let's say 5,000. If I project 5,000 here, for Jane, feel that 0.8 for him, for her. But for me, I'm a risk seeker. I may think it's around 0.4, right, for the utility value. Okay? So in this case, it's going to help us when you have the problem that make the decision using the payoff for the money only is not that good enough, right? Because it's not defect, right? Very clear about your attitude toward the risk, right? So we can using the utility in this instead, right? So this is the step, right? Firstly, you might develop the payoff table using the value of money, and then identify best and worst payoff, right? And decide the utility value. Right? As I mentioned, worst is always 0, and best is depending on you how scale that you're going to use, 10 or 1 or 100. That's fine. But the third step is that we're gonna using the best payoff is going to occur with the probability P, and for sure the worst payoff with the probability of 1 minus P. Right? So, for example, if I go back to this case, the very first example, the case that this company has 3 alternatives. Made investment, invested A, invested B, and do not invest at all. And this is a payoff. So if I try to do this by using the utility concept, what do we have here? We're going to have that, the highest payoff in this case is 50,000. So we let 50,000 to be 10. Let's say in this case, I'm using the scale 0 to 10. So the best payoff I'm using 10. In this case, best payoff in this problem is 50,000. Right, 50,000. So I use this to be 10. And the worst payoff is minus 50,000. I use it to be 0, right? So then what do we have here? I let the P to be the probability of 50,000 and 1 minus P to be the probability of minus 50,000. What next? We're gonna using this one to calculate the value of utility value for every monetary value by using this concept. Right? Utility of every money equal to the probability of the utility of the best payoff plus 1 minus probability of utility of the worst payoff. For example, if I want to find the utility value of 30,000, right? And you feel that when the probability of getting the highest payoff is 95%, you feel indifference between 30,000 and play the game, right? Let's say, for example, something like this. If you let this probability to be 0.95 and this one will be 0.05, you feel that the money of 30,000, right, and to getting 50,000 here and minus 50,000 here is the same. So you can find the utility value for 30,000. For example, in this case, we have 50,000 to be 10, minus 50,000 to be 0, right? So then you can have 0.95 multiplied with 10 plus 0.05 multiplied with 0 equal to the utility value of money 30,000. This one 0, right? Finally, you have 9.5 to be the utility value of money 30,000. So that's why in this case, the utility value of money 30,000 will be equal to 9.5. We're using the same concept, right? And apply to every monetary value in the table. Now, we all know that this one for the utility value is 0. This one is 10. This one I just show you is 9.5, right? So then you can calculate others. For example, 20,000. For 20,000, so you need to think that, okay, how many percent that it's gonna make, you need to find P. This one we know that 50,000, right? And utility equal to 1. And this one is minus 50,000, right? Utility equal to 0. Now we try to find all 20,000. You need to find P that make these two alternative indifference for the money 20,000. So in this case, right, based on my example, you might think that, okay, 90% chance that you're gonna get the best payoff is gonna make you, right, you think that for you, probability of P maybe 90% make you feel that this two alternative is indifferent, so then the utility value of the monetary value to 20,000 will be equal to 0.9. Not 0.9, equal to 9. Okay, so this is very subjective. It depends on you, and which means that it depends on your utility function. So if I convert, right, all the monetary value using this concept to be the utility value, you're gonna have the value in the table just like this, and then we can apply, right, the concept of expected utility value by using the probability for each outcome or the state, multiply with that utility value and sum up together for each alternative. For example, in this case, this table, you convert the monetary value to be utility value already, then you're using the probability to multiply each of them and sum up for each alternative. For example, utility expected value for the first alternative based on the utility value, you have 0.3 multiplied with 9.5 plus 0.5 multiplied with 9 plus 0.2 multiplied with 0. That's come from using probability multiplied with this one plus probability multiplied with this one plus probability multiplied with this one. This is for the first alternative. So this is the same concept of expected value of monetary value, but in this case we are not using monetary value because we'll be using utility value instead. But we still apply the same concept of expected value by using the probability multiplied with the value and sum up all of the possible outcomes. Right? So in this case, once you calculate each of them, Now, the expected utility value, you have 7.35, 6.55, and 7.5. The highest one is 7.5, right? So based on the utility value, in this case, the company should select the third alternative. That would be do not invest at all. Right? So it's different because if you're using the monetary value, you're using the expected value by using the monetary value calculate, you can select the first one. But when you're using the utility value, you select the third one. Okay? And the third one is come from what? Come from you feeling that based on some consideration list here, you feel that it's not good for you to select the first alternative. So you adjust by using your utility function, and then you have that space. Okay, in order to make you get better understanding, I will show you more. For example, this one, this one. Okay, this one. Okay, this is the list to show the conclusion between using the money value and utility value. You can say that using the expected utility value, you select do not invest, but using the money value, you select to invest in real estate. Difference. Next, before we go to other example, again, as I mentioned, that normally we have the type of the user who use about the concept of utilities to be three types: risk avoider or risk averse, right? Risk taker or risk seeker, or maybe can call risk lover, the one that love risk, love the pay off. And the third one is risk neutral, so the one that's very linear function thinking about the risk. Okay, so generally most people be the risk avoider because almost people afraid of the risk. Okay, and this is a graph that I showed you right before. So next, if I using this one to show you for the concept, what you can see. Okay. Suppose that now we have three alternatives, D1, D2, and D3. I have three different outcomes, S1, S2, and S3. The value in the table now is about the payoff that you can get. For example, if you're using the alternative D1 and S3 happened, let's say you lost 60,000. But if you select alternative D2 and S3 happened, you lost 30,000 and so on. Suppose that the probability for each outcome or state of natures are for S1, 0.1, S2, 0.3, and S3, 0.6. When you calculate using the expected value, using the money value, we just using the probability multiplied with the value of money, right, and sum up together for all possible outcome or state of nature here. And you can get that the EV or EV for the first alternative is minus 14,000, second alternative is minus 7,000, and the third alternative is positive 2,000. So in this case, when you look at the value of EV, you might prefer the third one. So this is the way that suitable for the risk neutral person. So this neutral person is very simple, right? Have the linear relationship, right, about the value and the risk, value and money and the risk. So that's why generally when this kind of group of decision maker be the risk neutral, when they make the decision, they can just using the simple thing, using the norm of money value to make the decision, just the same as we studied from previous week. But for the rest of the decision maker, we have decision maker number one, number two. I'm not show you right now who are they. These two persons that are not the risk neutral person. So their preference or their attitude toward the risk is not linear. Okay. So let's say that we have to make a decision maker here, decision maker one and decision maker two. And this is a list of utility function of them. For example, 100,000 for decision maker 1, they gave the score of utility value to be 100, right? Both of them. But for 50,000, the first one, decision maker 1, give the score of utility value 94. But for the decision maker 2, just 58. Okay? So these two persons have the difference preference to the money's value and also the risk. So if you try to plotting the graph, you're gonna see that the first decision maker is risk avoider with the same value of money, right? Compared to another decision maker, they gave the very high score. But for decision maker number 2, when you look at the graph, it's about risk seeker or risk lover person, right? So this kind of decision maker prefer a lot of payoff. They love to have risk. I prefer a lot of return or something like that. So these two group is not neutral. So we cannot use just the money value to make the decision, just like the first option. Because the first option is risk neutral decision maker. The relationship is just linear. So this kind of group of decision maker can apply just EMV, management value, according to the expected value and make the decision just usual that we studied before. But these two groups of decision maker, one is risk avoiders, risk avoider. Another one is risk seeker. It's not simple one, right? Because they have the attitude toward the risk very different. So what we're gonna do here, right? The first one is risk avoider, the second one is risk taker. So we need to, using the utility value, right? The value, for example, if we have this one, to calculate the expected value. This one, just forget it. I think I forgot to delete. You can see based on the decision maker 1, the value table right now is about the utility value. We just calculate expected utility. We not calculate the expected monetary value. We calculate the expected utility value. We just using the probability multiply with the utility value and sum up for all outcome. For example, 37 is come from 100 multiplied with 0.1 plus 90 multiplied with 0.3 plus 0 multiplied with 0.6, something like that. We're gonna have 37, okay? And we do the same way for the second alternative and the third alternative as well. And finally, we can see that 68 is the highest expected utility value. So in this case, the decision maker 1, right? This person select the third alternative, D3. On the other hand, for the decision maker, this one is typo as well. For this decision maker 2, this is the table show the utility value of them, of this person, and we still calculate using the same method as the previous one, using the expected utility value. So for example, 25 is come from 100 multiplied with 0.1 plus 50 multiplied with 0.3 plus 0 multiplied with 0.6, you have 25, right? And you calculate something like this for the rest of the alternative. And finally, 25 is the highest one. So in this case, this person select the first alternative. Okay, so my point is that if you are the risk neutral, no need to use the utility value. No need to use the utility function. You can use the simple EMV UL to calculate. But if you are the risk avoider or risk averse, if you are the risk taker or risk seeker, it might be have to change, right? In the case that you need to, make the decision towards about the profits and loss, and we have very strong information, right? Besides the value of the money to make a decision. Just like this example, you have the background of the financial situation of the company. You have the gut feeling that, okay, this one is not appropriate because you feel that you are afraid of the risk. You don't want to take a lot of risk, something like that. So you might think about the way of apply utility value or utility function. Okay, and I can say that okay, if we change the probability, for example, to be 0.5, 0.3, and 0.2, right? What would be the optimal decision for risk neutral? How about the optimal decision for risk maker 1 and for risk maker number 2? And what is the value of this decision the difference, and what would be your conclusion, right? So now we change the problem a little bit. We change about the probabilities, right? It's not 0.1, 0.3, 0.6 anymore. We change to 0.5, 0.3, and 0.2. For this neutral, again, we are not using the utility value, we're using the monetary value. We just calculate using the simple calculation. Calculating multiply with monetary value and sum up for all outcome. And in this case, you select alternative 1 or D1. You can expect the payoff 50,000. But for the decision maker number 1, right, we apply the utility value. And since we change the probability, so we need to recalculate the new expected utility value for every alternative. So we're using the property multiply with the utility value and sum up together. And in this case, the decision maker number 1, optimal decision for this person is select the second alternative because 79 is probably the highest expected utility value. How about the third one, decision maker number 2? We do the same way, and we can see that the highest expected utility value is belong to the first alternative. So this decision maker person maybe select the first alternative. So what happened here? You can see that for the decision maker number 1, since this person select the second alternative and expect to have utility value equal to 79. So then what we can do here, we can translate or convert 79 to be the value of money. So how can we do that? Okay, we know that utility 80, right? Support this one. Here. Decision maker number 1, you can see 80 is equal to $20,000. Okay, and we have utility 60 is equal to minus $10,000. So what we have here? It means that with the difference of utility 20, you have the range of the monetary value different 30,000, right? 20,000 equal to utility value 80, minus 10,000 equal to utility value 60. So it means the difference of utility value is 20, right? And the difference of the value of the money is 30,000, right? So 30,000 is the gap between these two utility value, 80 and 60. So 80 and 60 is different 20 utility value. So then we're using 30,000 divided by 20. So we can have $1,500. So it means that every 1 point of utility value is equal to $1,500. So then what does it mean? It means that if we try to find the value of 79, right, after we analyze, right, that we need to select the second alternative. 79 is equal to 20,000 minus 1,500 or $18,500. Okay, so this is an expected monetary value that you can expect for the risk maker number 1. The same, we can do the same thing for the risk maker number 2. Because the risk maker number 2, this person select the first alternative, and the expected utility is equal to 65. And then we know that utility equal to 100 is belong to 100,000, and 58 is belong to 50,000 based on this information. This one you can see 100,000. 100,000 is for the risk maker, for the decision maker, and number 2 equal to the utility value 100, and 15,000 is equal to 58. So then, how about 65? How about 65? Okay, 65. So this means that 158, the difference or the gap between this utility value is 42. And the money value, right, the gap of the money value between utility value of 158 is 50,000. So then we use 50,000 divided by 42. So we have 1,190. So it means that every 1 point of decision maker 2 utility value is equal to $1,190. So if you want to know that 65 utility value, how about how it's worth for the money value? We just using 50,000 plus 7 multiplied with 1,190, because 50,000 is belong to 58 utility value. So 58 plus 7, 7 is you can have 65 points. So but each point is worth 1,190. So then we multiply 1,190 with 7. So finally, utility value of 65 will be equal to 58,330. That you can see that since the decision maker number 2 is a risk seeker or risk taker, so that's why 65 in this case and 79 for the previous case, right? You can see that the difference of the money value is quite a lot, right? 58,330 compared to 18,500. So, in conclusion, it depends, right, on the type of the decision makers, right? Generally, if you be the risk neutral decision maker, so you can apply like the expected monetary value to calculate and make the decision, right? But if you have, right, the others kind of the characteristic of decision makers such as risk avoider or risk averse, or with the risk seeker or risk taker, using the expected monetary value is not good enough. You might convert this value to be the utility value and using expected utility value instead, right? So it's very subjective. It's based on the decision maker. Okay, it's based on the decision maker. Right? So it can help you a lot in the case that when you calculate using the very simple formula or using the criteria of risk neutral, and you feeling that it's different with your personal line of the attitude to the risk, so they might apply the utility value instead. Right? So this is utilities. Okay, we're gonna have a little bit introduction about the game theories, and we will continue next. Okay, we finished the data analysis. We finished the utilities. Okay, so the next one is like the things that we have like the extension from the decision analysis is about the game theory. So what we have here now, when you study the decision analysis, we talk about only one person, right? The decision maker to be only one. You're gonna make decision, survey, not survey, you can select investment A or B, something like that. So the one who make the decision, you have just one person. But in some situation, you can have more than one person. Just like in the theory of game, right? You have 2 or more decision makers. Just like you think in the business, right? You have your company and you have your rival company, you have your competitors, and compete in the same industry or in the same market in order to get more market share. just like you can think about bubble tea, right? So we have a lot of ก็อยากกินนะ So you have Dakashi, I don't know Ochaya, like I said. You have, I don't know what brand we have. Balame, Zero Cow, so you have a lot of brands, right? Stay in the same market, stay in the same industry. So you have more than one decision maker. But you know, when you compete in the same industry, what happened in the real world? You might have the one that getting the very the highest market share, and another one that might get the least market share. Right? So it's just like if one win, another one's gonna lose, something like that. Okay. So let's say that the scope of our class, we just study very introduction of the game theory. So we select to introduce you just only the problem that you have maybe just two decision maker in the same market or the same industry. And we have the assumption that when you have only two decision makers stay in the same market or same industry, we assume that these two players or these two decision makers have the same information and will select the strategy, right, that try to give the best outcome for them, right? And each strategy is independent, right? And we have the assumption that you don't know in the future or advanced strategy of others. And what this means is that you have your company and another company to be your rival. Both of you, right? You have the same information. You have the same information. Once you have the same information, right? The strategy that you select, right, is independent, right? And you all have no idea what the future is going to happen, right? But since you stay in the same market and you have just two players, if you gain, right, if you can get benefit, or you gain, another one going to lose, right? So you get benefit, another one lost. Yeah, you get money, another one lost money, something like that. Right? You win, another one lose, something like that. So this is like the assumption. So what we do here is about two persons, and we call it zero-sum game. Because the gain and loss is price balance. If one player wins, as I mentioned, another player is gonna lose, right? And the zero-sum game is mean that we assume that we have just two players, right? And these two players is competing in the game together. So in this sense, in the same business, in the same market. In order to explain you more about the game theory concept, so let's follow this example. Let's say that we have the example of competing for the vehicle sale, right? We have the dealer, right? That they are considering about the three strategy that they're going to decide to take the sale of the new vehicle from others over the next 4 months. So the strategy is to be the same for both dealership and show in the next slide. So this is the strategy. These two dealers has three strategy. The first strategy is about the cash rebate. The second one is provide a free optional equipment for the new vehicle. And the third strategy is offer 0% loan, right? And this table show you about the payoff table, right? And let's say that this side considered as a horizontal, go to this way, is belong to the dealership A. And another one is considered vertical, is belong to the dealership B. Don't forget these two dealerships competing in the same market, right? If one win, another one lost. So what happened here? We have the three strategy same, right? Cash rebate, free option of the equipment, 0% loans, both of them. But don't forget that for this payoff table, since dealership A on this side, on the roster one, consider it means that we show about the, let's say, the number in the table is about the percentage of sale, let's say. For example, in the dealership A, apply the first strategy cash rebate, we call A1 strategy A1. They can expect, right? If they apply this strategy, they can expect 2% increase of their sale. And for sure, if this company have 2% gain, this company gonna have decreasing 2% of their market share, right? So what happened here? In the case that this dealership select the second strategy A2, right? And this one, dealership B still stay at the cash rebate strategy. In this case, the company A gonna lose 3% of the market share, but this company gonna gain 3%. Okay, because it's zero-sum game, right? So what happened here? Things in the term of dealership A first. Now you try to develop the strategy to take the market share from B, right? So in this case, the concept we can use for A is using the concept of maximum. We know maximum, right? So we consider here maximum. We consider the minimum percent gain that this dealer can getting from each strategy. Let's say strategy 1, A1, right? If this company using strategy A1 and this company using AB1, B2, B3, is a cash rebate free option on 0% loan. The company A can get 2% gain, 2% gain, and 1% gain. So the minimum one is just 1%. For the dealership A or company A, if they select the second strategy A2, right? And dealership B select the cash rebate, this A, right, get lost 3%. But if this one select free strategy B2, this company get 3%, and if this one select strategy B3, this company lost 1%. Okay, so the minimum one in this case minus 3, 3, and minus 1 is minus 3. So we select is 2 minus 3. And again, for the third strategy of dealership A, depending on each strategy of company B, the minimum that the company A can gain is minus 2. This one. So using the concept of maximum, right? Comparing among 1, minus 3, and minus 2, highest one is 1, right? So in this case, the strategy that best for dealership A is A1, because A1 with A1, the dealership A can at least guarantee 1%. Okay, if dealership B using no matter what strategy they have, this company can guarantee 1% gain. Okay. But on the other hand, if we consider in the side of dealership B, right? In the case of dealership B, we try to compete with A, right? So if we consider B is gonna using the concept of minimax. Why? Because, for example, in this case, we can see here. If we select the strategy B1 and A develop A1, A2, A3, this is a percentage that this should be going to get, right? Gain 2%, loss 3%, gain 3%. So in this case, right, the maximum, right, the maximum that can have from the dealership B is 3, right? But don't forget 3 in this case is compared with A. So I would say A try to take the market share from B, just like you try to protect. If you select the first strategy and A develop the strategy A1, A2, and A3, this is the highest loss, right? Highest percentage that the dealership B can get. Okay. But for dealership B, if they select strategy B2 and dealership A select A1, A2, and A3, right? Don't forget this one is positive for A, right? So it means that company B lost 2%, company B lost 3%, and company B getting 2%. So the maximum loss for dealership B under the strategy B2 is 3%. We do the same way, right? We select the maximum one is 1. And comparing among these three strategies of company B, B1, B2, and B3, we select the minimax, right? We try to minimize the possible loss for the company. So if this one comparing three among of this, compare among of this, you can see that one is the lowest one. So we select one that belongs to strategy B3. In conclusion, it means that for dealership B or company B, if they select strategy B3, they can guarantee that they're going to lose as maximum 1%. Okay? So in this case, this is the best strategy for B. This is the best strategy for B. And it means that what happened if the result of maximum, right, of player A or company A equal to the minimax of player B or company B, as from the previous example. In this case, we call it's going to have like a saddle point. So saddle point means that this strategy is optimal. So it means that they cannot expect to have the improve of outcome more than this. So this is like the optimum that they can get, right, from this strategy. For example, if you look at this, suppose that we change some value here. Again, consider A first. We consider for each horizontal, right? We're using the concept of maximum. Minimum is 1, minimum is -3, minimum is -2. Coupling among them, highest one is 1. Okay, that belongs to strategy A1. How about the dealership B, right? You're using the minimax, right? Right. This is a maximum one for this 3, maximum one for this 3, maximum one is 1. Coupling among them, the minimum one is 1. So all of this you can see dealership B select the strategy B3. Strategy B3 and strategy A1 provide the same, right, value here. So in this case, it's been is at the saddle point because the value of maximum from A equal to the minimax from B. In this case, maximum and minimax is equal to 1. This one. So this is the value gain. So if the dealership B select strategy B3 and dealership A select strategy A1, it's going to have like the saddle point. So it means that they cannot get more improved outcome than this. This is the optimal one, all that they can get. Okay. So in this case, we call the PO strategy, because when you have the saddle point, right, there is one strategy that, right, one point of the saddle point that point that can make all of them, right, cannot improve the outcome more than this. Okay. I will show you more than this based on the example. So I think it's better if we can have a break here, and after the break we can continue, and I can show you more explanation about other example. So now please have a break.
Actually, I will go home. Really? Okay, I will take the video.
Yeah, you can take the rest.